Good morning. We're back with yet another day. This is the last training camp before the Bucs' first preseason game, so I'm excited. Hope you guys are excited. I'm very tired. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Let's go get ready. Gotta go pick up Gabby. And then we'll be back ready for another day of training camp. Yeah.
Alright guys, so taking a look at this day's training camp, it was actually a lot of fun. We were able to go out walk on the field for a little bit, so they let us inside the indoor facility right away. We were able to go in there, walk around the field. The place is wonderful, by the way. It's all air conditioned, it's all really nice in there. It honestly just feels amazing. I will say the roof might be a little bit shorter considering Brian Anger's punts have been hitting off the top of him, so he probably won't be punting in there anymore. But, usual footage, your usual suspects, tight ends, defensive line to start. I will say, actually, for it being a Tuesday afternoon, there were a very good amount of people there, almost on par with the whole stick carrier with the stick carriers being there. And Pulowski and all them being there. You can see my recording skills have not gotten much better. However, I was very impressed during this training camp. I know this video is a little bit late. I was busy, unfortunately. Not unfortunately, but yeah. Some stuff I was impressed with with our one-on-one. Gerald McCoy and Jason Pierre-Paul as a team impressed me insanely that day, because they went from doing one-on-ones to two-on-twos, and I highlighted this in the live stream where McCoy and Jason Pierre-Paul just looked dominant at some points. They had one play where McCoy took a double team essentially, and Pierre-Paul just literally went right behind the both of them and got to the quarterback. It was a pretty phenomenal thing to see. So hopefully, and that's just half of our defensive line. So if they can do that consistently in games, our defensive line is going to be ridiculous. I will say there has been a little bit of talk about whether or not the offensive line has been good lately, or like what if they're struggling. I won't say that they're struggling. I'll say that our defensive line is really good, and hopefully our defensive line proves to be this good against all offensive lines. But I wouldn't be worried about our offensive line. You have Donovan Smith, who knows what he's doing, Jensen, Marpet, and Dodson. Those guys are good in their own way. I was pretty impressed with all the quarterbacks this day. I thought that they all had some very good plays and whatnot. Here you have a little bit of some 11-on-11s going on as I'm panning across from left to right and picking up on some of these plays. All in all, the quarterbacks have looked good. Going into preseason week 1, they all should be playing a little bit, like all 4 of them. And I'm sure I'll be making a video right after this talking about a preseason week 1 preview. But the rookies have been impressing still. Everybody's been looking pretty good for the most part. I will say that a lot of injuries have been happening, specifically to our backup offensive line, which sucks. But it is what it is. You gotta roll with it. I will say that the Buccaneers did actually release Trevor Moore, and they did end up signing an offensive lineman whose name I can't remember off the top of my head, but I will be putting it down in the comments if you guys are at all interested. So yeah, that should be really fun. But yeah, the big thing for us right now is just making sure all of our depth can stay healthy, I guess I should say, because if our starters go down, well then we're gonna be bare bones. As Ryan Fitzpatrick makes a terrible attempt at a jump up for a celebration, and you saw the touchdown there. It was good. It was good. It was a very good day of practice for the offense. I thought they really came back and played well. Coming back from maybe a couple of rough weeks, or not rough weeks, a couple of rough days there where they couldn't move the ball that much. I thought this practice they had a very good time moving the ball, and they looked a lot more crisp out there, and everybody just looked overall better. I thought the protection was there more, and I also thought that everybody was just overall playing better. It was very nice to see, thankfully. Good news all around, thankfully. Yeah, guys, so like I said, there was a lot of good, and honestly, I didn't see anything that really was unimpressive to me for the most part. I will say, if there was something that I would have been unimpressed with, it might have been our defensive line depth. I thought that when paired up against backup offensive lineman versus backup defensive lineman, I thought our backup offensive line won most of the time. Obviously, guys like Will Clark, I think Golston did okay this time around, and Noah Spence, they did good. to varying degrees, but I will say that some of those other guys, they had a bit of a rough go at it, so hopefully they improve moving forward. I hope they do. And I will say it was a little bit disappointing because Brent Grimes wasn't in practice, Sean Wilson was not in practice, which sucked. Another bit of a positive, Vita Vea was out of his walking boot, and he was just walking completely. He looked like he was walking pretty normal. He looked good. He looked good. I don't think he's really hampered much by his injury anymore, so hopefully we see him back sooner rather than later. But it's unfortunate because guys like Sean Wilson, Brent Grimes, Vita Vea, they're not going to be able to play in this first game against the Miami Dolphins for preseason week 1, which, by the way, the video right after this will be a preseason week 1 preview, so I hope you guys are all ready for that. But yeah, it was all in all a pretty good day of practice. I was very impressed by the offense. I thought that the offense came out there on all levels, and they all did their jobs, and they all had some very wonderful plays. The defense was a little bit more porous than usual, I guess you could say. They did allow some big plays here and there. We're still connecting on the deep balls a little bit better. I don't think it's perfected, obviously. They still miss some stuff sometimes. Like Jameis Winston had a couple of bad deep balls during the training camp. He missed on a couple of deep throws. But besides that, I think all four maybe. I haven't seen Austin Allen a whole lot, but I think all 3 of the quarterbacks who we expect to make this roster, Griffin, Fitzpatrick, and Winston, I think they've all been having pretty good short to intermediate passing games. Fitzpatrick is probably going to be the start of the first 3 weeks. The way it's looking now, Ryan Griffin, to me, hasn't done much, if anything, to separate himself from Ryan Fitzpatrick. If anything, it's quite the opposite. Fitzpatrick has been doing more to separate himself from Ryan Griffin. So I think it's pretty much set in stone that Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to be the starting quarterback for the first 3 weeks, which we all expected that. Deshaun Jackson was being used a little bit more as a punt returner. I enjoy that, and he's still having a wonderful training camp. Bo Allen and Mitch Unrein have still looked very good. Alex Kappa's had his moments. He's been very up and down to varying degrees. I think he looked pretty good in this last training camp. But there was one play where he got flattened, like bad. But he has been kind of working with the ones a little bit, sometimes with Beninock being in and out of practices, which I think is kind of encouraging. I think they want to see what they have with Kappa, with the ones, with the starters, I guess I should say, and they want to see how he can do, so that makes me pretty excited. Hopefully makes you guys excited as well. Some other notes. Donovan Smith, honestly, has been having a really nice camp for me, personally. I think he's looked pretty consistently good. I'll never forget the one play, I think it was like last practice, I think it was like day 2, where he just put Noah Spence in the ground. That was great. Everybody in the chat for that live stream loved it. I loved it. So it was good. So yeah, DeMar Dotson, he's coming back from injury. He was actually able to run with the ones, which is good. That means he'll be more likelier than not, he will be good to go for week 1 versus the New Orleans Saints. They did end up releasing, I think it was David Rivers, I'm not too sure, but to make room for that backup offensive lineman, who again, his name eludes me, so I will put that down in the comment section below, and I'll write a little note on who they released and who they signed and whatnot, which is good. I do know they for sure released Trevor Moore, though, so that means that Chandler Catanzaro won the kicking job, if you want to say that. It wasn't really much of a job. I think it was just Trevor Moore trying to see if he can show off for other teams. They can take a look back and say, oh, okay, well, Trevor Moore had some nice stuff going for the Bucs in training camp. Let's see what he can do. When you give somebody a 3-year, $10 million contract, you assume that he's going to win the job. Brian Angers looked good. Brian Angers looked really good. He's a punting guru. He keeps on hitting the ceiling of the inside practice facility with his punts most of the time. At first he did, and he's corrected it since then, which is very encouraging. But he was just booming it, and they would go and smack into the ceiling, and I loved it. Everybody loved it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. MJ Stewart, Carlton Davis continue to impress. I hope they get more time moving forward. Jordan Whitehead's actually been making a lot more plays than I had expected him to make. Jordan Whitehead's had a very underrated camp, in my opinion. I thought that he's looked very good so far, specifically this last practice as well. So yeah, things have been good. I hope you guys are all enjoying this vlogging series as usual. It's definitely picking up a lot of steam, so I appreciate that. Again, still going to the rest of these training camp days, and actually I have a little bit of an update to my my training camp attire. I will be wearing this shirt. So if you want to go, if you're going to the training camps, just look out for a shirt like this, and then there should be a link on the back as well. So yeah, if you guys are going to the training camps, look for me. I'll be wearing this shirt again. Here you go. It's a wonderful thing. I know. I don't know, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys all enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys at the next training camp, and the next video should be a week 1 preseason preview. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and as always, I will see you in the next video. But until then, goodbye for now, guys, and as always, go Bucks.